cool.
And being in New Mexico, just this melting pot of insanity that we have here.
Yeah.
And then being a production, working as a production god here, you're running into so many different types of people, so many different personalities. Like, you need to have that outlook to be. You need to have that outlook anyway to be a good person, but you need to have that outlook to be successful.
I worked in studios all my life.
Yeah,
there was never racism in a studio. It was can you play that?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't get the fuck out.
It's a meritocracy.
Yeah. Right? If you can't play it, leave.
I was going to ask.
If you can play it, play it.
That's an aspect I wanted to ask too about. So the time frame that you lived in New York.
Yeah.
Day-to-day life, interacting with a lot of people. We can dive into any aspect of that you like, but being in a recording studio, dealing with so many I don't want to say dealing, so it has like a negative connotation, but like interacting, working with, collaborating with so many different types of people. What was that like as a young man?
It was a learning experience. A lot of keeping your mouth shut. A lot of the jobs that I had, my job was to keep my mouth shut, get coffee, and patch stuff in. I had an experience with a big producer. I'm not going to name names because it's just dumb. But he was mixing, I think, 404. It was a big record. And he was a very intense human. And my job was to patch things in. So I'm looking back at the panel where all the gear, the rack gear is before plugins, everyone. These are what plugins used to look like. And I would patch delays in and
I was going to say, define what patching means.
Well, you have to run cables because he wants to run one microphone into this particular box, to this box, to that box, and you have to be able to run these patch bays where he had to connect them with cables. So that was my main job. And I remember looking up at the back wall, and there was a delay up there, and it was just in the red, which is bad. The meters were just saying too much, but they were just flaming on it. And I waited until what I call rollback time, when they'd hit rewind on the song, and it would take about 30 seconds for it to reel back. And I said, sir, the delay's in the red. And I just wanted to let you know. And he goes, did you hear the mix? And I said, yes. How did it sound? It sounded perfect. And he goes, well, if it fucking breaks, we'll fix it. He turned back around, and I thought, got it. It's a tool. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
And he's not playing by the rules. He's playing by how that thing sounds slammed into oblivion. But it's making a certain sound in the mix sound really good. First, I mean, just those are enlightenment moments when you go, okay, these are tools. I don't need to listen to someone else tell me how to run the tool. I run the tool till I think it sounds good, and then that's how it works. So,
well, and also the soft skill of being able to diffuse bullshit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. When someone says, a drummer's like, well, that's my signature sound. Shut up. It's not your signature sound. Nobody knows who you are. Just play the damn drum and quit trying to screw it up by playing this fill. Yeah. It's in the middle of the song and it smashes the singer.
I wanted to say, Nick, I'm fucking with you. I love you, buddy. We all know you're a very humble guy. But that's a common issue though with let's just say entertainers. Let's broaden that out and say entertainers in general. That is an issue. It just goes back to ego. That's come up a couple of times in this conversation. Yeah. It's ego. It's this is what I do, is what I am going to be known for. This is what my fans know me for. No, bitch.
You'll spend a life in your bedroom. Yeah. Here's the bottom line. When people are sitting in the room, the best moments happen, and I explain this to the band. When the song is being directed correctly and it's going the right directions, because all songs have a way they should go. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. Well, it could be like that. No, it's not. No, it's not true. Songs kind of go a certain way, and when the song's going a certain way, everyone in the room will agree. This is it. We're moving. It's going. It's going. But then if someone stops that energy by saying, well, I want that part there, and everyone knows that part shouldn't be there, I'm the guy that says, we're taking the F part out, bro. It's coming out. We're taking it out.
There's a saying that has become infamous of yours. A saying of yours has become infamous. It's repeated multiple times by my friends that have worked with you. You're doing things in service of the song.
Always serving the song. End of story. And in the song, you're serving the singer. If there's someone singing, you're serving that. The song is serving that. So ultimately, if it's just a song.
I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores. They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today. Podcast is now officially sponsored by the amazing people over at High Desert Relief, a premier herbal destination right here in the state of New Mexico. They have extremely well-trained and knowledgeable staff that are more than happy to help you find what you're looking for or try something that you maybe have never thought of. They have 2 locations here in Albuquerque, 1 in Santa Fe. All 3 will be listed right here and in the description of this episode. All 3 offering legendary products at absolutely legendary prices, including this awesome merch that they were so kind enough to gift me here. All of this can be found at all 3 of their locations. Again, big thank you to the guys over at HDR for supporting. Now back to the episode.
We're saying if you poke out in a song, you better be the singer or a soloist. But if you're poking out other places, saying, look at me, you're going to get smacked. You're going to get beat down because the song has a way it should go. And like I said, in a room full of people, there's been magic moments where everyone in the room is going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the song is flowing. And we know that we're dropping guitar tracks and tambourines or whatever it needs. And we're going, this is magic. And then the drummer or somebody, the bass player, is saying, well, I can't hear it. I said, shut up. Just leave right now. Because they're wrecking the energy that's happening, you know? Yeah. And also, I allow every idea to be played out. Even if I think, no, it's going to suck for them to do it, I let them do it anyway.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of benefit to that. Yeah. Because on the face value, people could hear and go, well, you're wasting time. Not really. And the way I would see that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is, well, the first one, you're letting, because again, the amount of experience you have, if you know, like, okay, more likely than not, this is not going to be that great. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you're allowing this person, whatever position they play in the band, whatever they're adding to the song, that's a learning experience for them to hear what something shitty may or may not sound like.
Exactly.
A, and then B, let's say you've got a 15-second guitar solo and a 15-second guitar solo and 11 seconds of that sucks. You might be able to find little gems in there. Like, hey, okay, this sucks, but that little pull off he just did, what if we incorporated that here or that little whatever? I
just don't tell them. I just leave it.
Yeah.
And I say, and then I go back and I put whatever I want, wherever I want, because that's what it needs to happen. And most people will agree at the end of it.
Yeah, being able to deconstruct things and being able to find
you have to allow them to play out their bad ideas because that's the lesson they learn. If I didn't let them, then they would say, the song would have been better had I done that part. Well, you tried that part, and it wasn't very good, remember? So
there's value in leaving no stone unturned.
My grandfather used to say to me, he goes, I'd rather have you hate me now and love me later.
Yeah.
That's before he spanked me, by the way. Spankings back in the day, people got spanked for being stupid. It worked. I'm here.
That's funny. No, there's value in seeing things through regardless of what the perceived outcome is.
Yeah.
There's value in that. And again, being guided, being able to be a musician and be guided by somebody like yourself who knows what they're doing, has all that experience. I mean, you're going to learn these lessons one way or another. The efficiency in which you do it, if you're able to control that, controls with the betterment.
Yeah.
So being in New York, you're younger. What's a day? I feel like your days are very different. Yeah. I feel like no day's the same, but like what's generally speaking, what did a day look like for you in New York?
It would be like I would find my favorite street vendor and eat steak on a stick, which was awesome, hot sauce. And then I would go to work, Electric later with Bob, whatever. We would start somewhere around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then work till 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I would leave what studio I was at in the city, because you could just walk everywhere generally. And I would stop at like Gray's Papaya and get some hot dogs or something and go home and then start over again every day.
Is there something magical about doing this type of work late at night?
In that period of time, that's how musicians thought it should work. Now I'm old enough where I'm like, I'm not working at night. I'm like, we're doing it during the day. And I never found any magical moments. All I found was a lot of people getting drunk and high, thinking they're doing great when it sucked the next day. You know what I mean? You're like, do a line. Yeah, man, that is badass. And I'm like, no, it's not. You know, and in my mind, right? I go, they're going to come tomorrow. I'm just going to plan on being here for an extra few days. So what I do with musicians is I make them come in at 10 here, and I work till 6. I don't work past that. And I've had musicians like, well, you're going to lose me if you don't do sessions at night. And I said, well, sorry.
Sayonara. Oh, wait, I'm going to lose you.
I don't have to. Yeah, go wherever you need to go, brother. I'm cool. I mean, I'm just telling you, these are my hours. This is how I work.
I have to ask, because I just not only do diligence for myself, for people listening. At this stage in your career, where you are right now, there are artists, regardless of what level they're at, what stage they're at, whatever.
Yeah.
There are artists that are coming to you to work with you and say, hey, man, if you don't work past these hours, you're going to lose me. Go.
Usually it's a laugh.
Yeah, but there's those people that'll say that to you now.
Yeah. Oh, no, I've had someone say, well, I want to come in and do my vocals at night and, blah, 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 and have this and that. And I'm like, sorry, dude, I don't do that. Well, then, I'll have to go New York or L.A. or Nashville. I said, okay, this is how I do it, dude. And here's the thing. It's usually after they've already done vocals here during the day, and they turned out good except for a couple of them. But they're like, I want to try this at night. So why can't you just do it during the day? Why would you move it to the night? Well, I don't understand. You're not making any sense to me. So usually these are older cats that came from where I come from. So that they want that, and I'm like, I don't do that.
That is fucking phenomenal. Well, because and I just only ask because you hear about the whole the magic happens at night thing, and maybe it is
maybe in writing.
Yeah,
that may be true, but not in the studio.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's a perception thing, maybe it's a thing for people that are just starting something, maybe it's like a younger person thing, maybe it's a whatever the fuck. But the only experience that I have with that is I do a lot of my writing at night. Yeah. I feel like it's calmer. I'm a night owl anyway, which is a real problem with having a day job.
Yeah,
but. I find a lot. I can do my busy work, like whether it's the editing, whether it's the making thumbnails, whether it's making reels, stuff like that. But a lot of my writing and idea crafting, it just seems to flow better. It's more peaceful at night. And maybe I'll take a couple hits off my pen, or maybe I'll have like a glass of whiskey. But even just doing it stone sober, I find it's a lot of it.
Like I said,
better.
writing I can understand because everything's calmed down and you've gone through the spurt of the day of having your high energiness, and then your brain is calm and you're like starting to move into the evening mode where your brain is slowing down, and that's where your thoughts come together, and I can see all that happening. But once that happens, then you bring it to the studio.
Yeah.
Now it's time we got to flesh it out.
Right.
We got to make it sound like you're at home in your living bedroom doing this. And, and generally it's not so much the time of day as it is the moments where I turn all the lights down, close the front end. We're now just in this small environment. I put them on a chair, give them a water and turn the lights down and give them a mic and say, okay, I want you to be right there in that spot where you need to be when you wrote this song. And bam, magic. It really... And it's in an environment where I can capture it, and it's going to be great sounding too. So No, it's,
Yeah.
the nighttime thing recording is, the console I used to work on in Los Angeles had a little sign that said, "Please don't do cocaine on the faders." So that give you an idea of where I come from.
One of my favorite lines in scenes too. One of my favorite lines in American Psycho is when they're in the bathroom and the Patrick Bateman and his friend are talking to each other, and the guy hops over the stall and goes, "Would you be quiet? I'm doing drugs. Or I'm trying to do drugs in here."
This sounds like CBGBs. Yeah.
So, how long did you spend in New York again? Remind me.
Almost 9 years.
9 years. So 9 years, that means you are 33 at that point?
33, 34,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I actually got 94. In 94, I was 36. So.
Okay.
So, yeah. I went to Nashville. I moved from New York to Nashville for 6 months.
What did the tail end of New York look like?
I just had enough. Too much stuff going on.
Was it more your own life? Was it more the professional life? What was?
It was the whole thing. I had run its course. I now wanted to do what I wanted to do, which was to become an engineer. But working under all these other fellows, I saw how it worked and decided that I knew enough to start focusing and doing that for reals. I moved to Nashville, worked there for 6 months, and I absolutely hated it. Good old boys. It was before Nashville is now like L.A. without a tan, basically. But back then it was still, country music as we know it. But I came here to visit a friend when I was living in Nashville because I just didn't like it. And his wife was going to school here, so I came to work with him. And I went to a restaurant and met my wife.
That's awesome.
She's indigenous.
To New Mexico.
Yeah, and so I packed all my crap and I moved here and married her and had 2 babies and been here ever since. 28 years I've been here.
That's beautiful.
Since 94.
When you're leaving New York,
Yeah.
you set out there with the mission. You're like, this is where I'm going to mold myself and what I need to be, what God's calling me to be.
Yeah.
If there's like a loading meter of 0 to 100%, when you're leaving New York, where do you think you were at in that meter?
I was completely done. I thought I had learned everything I needed to know at that point.
In the learning phase of it.
Yeah. The actual, now it's time. Even though I had done records as an engineer, I feel like my completion in New York was to watch all the greats. I mean, everybody from Eddie Kramer, Bob Clearmountain. I mean, you just go down the list. Watch them all work.
You're more than welcome to go down the list, by the way, because I just hearing this is an education.
Just going down the list of all the greats, I got to do that and work with Bob Rosa, who is the greatest, probably the most humble, awesome. He was actually Prince's engineer for a few years before I met him, and this is how humble Bob Rosa. Because if you listen, Bob, you'll hear me talking about you. I'll send this to him, but they were doing a special on Prince. And Bob is such a sweetheart. He says, I want to leave my memories where they were. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to do the TV interview.
Wow.
What a sweetheart. And that's just who he is. If you pull up his discography, it would scare you. He's on that. He did it. He did that. He did it. He did it. Just on and on and on.
Is he still out in New York now?
No, he lives in Florida, like all good New Yorkers when they get older. They moved to Florida.
Moved down to God's retirement home.
He's got a place down in Hollywood that he runs, and
so he hops back
kicking
and forth.
butt. No more New York.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, you said in Hollywood. You said
Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood, Florida. Okay. I see. I see. Good for him.
There's a Hollywood there too.
Good for him.
We only needed one. Why do we have 2 now? I'm kidding.
So you go to, there's a small stint in Nashville, not for you, and you visit you visit a friend in New Mexico. This is 1994.
And my wife was bartender, waitress at 505 restaurant.
Okay.
Which was a restaurant that used to be around here. And I met her, and that was it.
How old were you at the time?
36-ish.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old was she?
She's 10 years my younger.
Okay.
Don't judge me.
No, hey. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So you show up and you're like, all right, this is enough. Traveling's done. I don't know how I'm going to figure this one out. But
I moved here, and then over the years, I've just fallen in love with the place.
What was courtship like when you met her?
Oh, it was great. I mean, the reason that I love her so much, there's a lot of reasons. She's an amazing cook, but she is. I'm telling you, dude, it scare you how good she is. But we were driving along. She goes, "I want to go see a movie." I'm thinking, "Oh no." She goes, is that new Steven Seagal movie out? I'm marrying you. What? What? No chick flick. Steven Seagal movie. I'm like,
that's hilarious.
I am in. All the way. So, yeah.
This is 90s Steven Seagal too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, when he was at a badass. Yeah. Before he turned into what he's turned into.
I love watching the clearly staged like training videos he puts out.
Oh,
where he just touches somebody, they flip over.
Yeah.
Or he just pushes them and they go flying across.
Fake hair, the whole deal, man.
He's got a painted on goatee.
It's too much pasta, bro. Back off.
Poor guy.
Anyway.
So you meet your wife here in '94. You moved down the same year. And,
yeah.
You just moved down here in '94. How long were you here for until you start getting music production going?
Right away. I had a place in the house.
Okay.
I recorded Freddie Chavez, who just died. He's a hero in this town. Sounded like Tom Jones, one of the most amazing local singers I've ever met. He had never done a record, so my first record I recorded was Freddie Chavez's record, which is called Central Avenue. It's total vato. Cool music. It's super cool. It's got some rancheras too, and some. So I got my chops just from that, and just started to fall in love with the town.
How much did you know about New Mexico culture before you showed up?
And nothing, dude. And other than I had red chili once, and I thought this is the shit.
Yes,
I love this.
Yes.
And so I fell in love with the diet. Also, the food here. I mean, foodies come from all over the world that I know personally. Famous people come here to eat. Because the food here is so good. I mean, Los Poblanos and Duran's and Barella's Coffee House. Come on, man, that's the stuff.
Come for the food, stays. Your car got jacked.
Yeah.
I do want to switch gears a little bit, if you're okay with it, and talk about building the relationship with your wife. How soon after meeting her were you like, yeah, this is the woman God called me to marry?
Well, it was tough. When I first met her, I just kind of knew. She kind of knew. It was her that brought me back into the church.
That's awesome.
After that, and but God had always called me to do this, and I did that because maybe I was supposed to. I think God wanted me there to do that, and then we had the conversation about this place, and the rest is history. 8 years I've been here now.
And how long were you dating your wife before you guys got married?
6 months maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She got pregnant.
Hey. God's plan. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll be honest with you. My son, it's funny. My son, he was much older, probably 15 or 16 before he was, hey, Dad, how come I'm in your wedding photo? But it wasn't because we had a child. It was because she's truly just the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me, really.
And you guys have been married how long now?
28 years.
What would you say?
Years.
I don't think there is a secret. I've never been married. I don't think there is a secret to a marriage at all. I think it's consistent things you do over and over that nurture, right? What would you say over the almost 3 decades you guys have been married? What are the consistent things that...
There's 2 things we discussed. One is divorce. The word divorce never comes into the conversation, ever. Second of all, I told her, and I was kind of joking, but still, I grew up in a home that was disconnected and vague, and my mom did the best she could. I love my mama. She did the best she could. She was always super kind to me, still is. But I looked at her and I said, if we have children, you try to leave me, I will kill you. Because I'm not waking up in the morning without seeing my children and hugging them and kissing them and talking to them and telling them how much they're loved. So, and it's a give and take thing. Once you understand that the word love is not an emotion, it's a commitment. You're committing to that other human. And the word love doesn't mean, oh, it feels so good. Those are feelings. You can never trust your feelings because they change daily. One day, she'd walk down the hallway and just say, I hate you, whatever. Not that she would, but you feel that energy. But the next day, she loves you. But the thing is to walk through that. The commitment's there. Like you commit. And that's just all there is to it. You're there. Make it work. Make it happen. And by doing that and reenacting and being that, it just eventually happens. Is it any better? Yeah, it's better, but we still have patches. Yeah. But the patches are not involved in, well, I need to find somebody new. Because in your mind, you're saying, so I want to relive all these stuff with another individual? Start over again? Why would I do that when I have so much time invested into this human that I love? Why would I say, yeah, I'm going to let you go and I'm going to have to do this all over again? No, that's just insanity.
Yeah.
It's insanity to do that. So there's no real trick other than saying, I love her. She's my wife. There's never been infidelity, which probably would be the only thing that could break us up.
Yeah.
And we made that clear from the beginning. And she's the most solid, tough woman I've ever met. She is so loyal. She's loyal to the point of, craziness. So loyal to her children and to me. So I can't say enough, about that kind of character. It really is character,
It's a beautiful thing. And again, not going into details of it, but you mentioned a relationship that ended poorly when you were younger.
Yeah.
And the underlying theme of this is God has a plan.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if you didn't go through that, learn the lessons you had to learn in that moment in your life, that would not have set you up properly for what you were meant for.
Learning from that process. I think the main thing that I learned, the first lesson I learned that changed my life is that love is not an emotion. Because people wrestle with that. What do you mean love's not an emotion? It's not. If you make love an emotion, you are screwed. You will never be happy, ever. It's like you love your mom, right? You may not like her, but you love her. That's not an emotion. That's a commitment to say, I love my mom, and I love my dad, and I love my brother, and I love my sister, and I love my friend, whatever. There's sex involved in a marriage, right? That's separate from love. Love is a commitment to another human being. Like, God gave you to me and I'm sticking with this. We're going to do this. We're just going to do it. So it's a headstrong, and also, if God's not involved, you're screwed no matter what. You're screwed.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What role does...
we wake up every morning and we read and we pray together as a couple for each other. And that's before we do anything, except for a cup of coffee, of course. But that's before we do anything, every single morning without fail. And our communication happens after that. Then we talk about the day and about what happened yesterday and the small talk that should happen every day. So you're on the same page, right?
That's one of my favorite Johnny Cash quotes. It's an interviewer asked him, like, what's your idea of heaven? And he goes, this morning, a cup of coffee with her. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And we've done that. We've kept that as a commitment. And it's been the strongest part of our relationship, is we know every day what I'm doing today, what she's doing today, what she did yesterday, how she felt about when she slept last night or whatever. And that investment, that small investment, is all it takes to keep the connection. There's a movie coming out in about 6 months where they interviewed me, and it's that whole scene, the second gen of what they call it, the second gen of people who came out of Calvary, who went out to the clubs, and they went out to the colleges and played high schools every day, and just and tats and piercings like myself, and just went out and did all those things. So they're doing a movie right now about that. So they just interviewed me for that movie, which is cool. It's more of a documentary about how that scene went down.
So not to give away all the content that's going to be in that film and everything that you spoke about, but because going through that experience, and again, we're talking a lot about dealing with personalities, navigating social situations, and then you having to break out of your own shell as a not very social individual, formatively speaking, I mean, to call that a significant part of your life would be an understatement. But again, just going back to lessons, going back to, the importance that had in your life, when you look back on that, what do you extrapolate from that now?
From what? From the whole experience? Mm-hmm. From everything that's happened?
From being like going out and like
doing those things?
Yeah. With that second wave.
I feel this. I'm the same individual. I remember I got in trouble because I said a quote, and it was in the Orange County Register, which is a huge paper, it's like the LA Times, and I'm on the cover, and we did these nights of Christian music at Knott's Berry Farm. The whole night was all bands like myself filled all the stages. It was on New Year's Eve. It was like alcohol-free New Year's Eve. And my quote was, in order to be a real Christian, you have to get rid of everything religious. Huh. And I got slammed hard.
I'm sure.
I got scolded. I'm like, well, isn't that true? And because I remember reading an article by Chuck Smith when he was younger, and he said, the quote in the register was, all they have is Jesus. I thought, well, that's a good thing, right? I'm not sure. Just checking.
That's a pretty solid foundation there, huh?
Anyway, taken from that, it became part of me. I was able to see so many different people from so many different walks of life, traveling around, just talking to people, because you're not only engaging with them, but you're engaging with their spirits, with the part of them that no one else would engage. Because you're like, well, they're asking you questions. Well, tell me about blah, blah, blah.
And a lot of these people probably had never been heard like that before.
Exactly. They haven't been approached by someone and say, hey, man, we're not talking about religion here. We're just talking about a relationship, a simple relationship. And that's between you and him, and the rest is up to him to tell you what to do and move on.
Right? I think one of the best questions anybody can get asked is, well, what do you think?
I know. It's true. As long as people know that it's what I think, I'm okay with that. It doesn't make it truth. It just makes it what I think.
Not only that, but I mean, if you ask somebody that, you're allowing them the freedom to express themselves.
Exactly.
They're allow the freedom to express themselves, but then also, again, just because, especially today, in where the era we live in of social media and instant gratification and phones and is all that nonsense, critical thinking is not necessarily a mainstay in your day-to-day life. So being able, I mean, that's why I love doing this so much, but being able to give someone the opportunity to do that, whether it's for 5 seconds or an hour.
Yeah.
Or it's like, think critically about what we just talked about. What do you think?
Like I said, the church is a hospital. So sometimes when I would be working at the church, someone would come forward and I would be established as a pastor or whatever. And I'd realize that conversation I just had was probably the only conversation that guy's had in a week.
That's sad.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that conversation is solid with him. Just say, look, you know what? I care about you. I want you to tell me what you think. You're absolutely right. And that just made his week. Mm-hmm. Whole week. For the rest of the week, he could say, I talked to that dude, man. He was cool, man. He liked me. Right, and I'm established, and I'm doing good.
Well, you displayed value to that guy too.
Exactly, and so that is what I'm talking about. The church is a hospital. It's for people who are hurting, who have nowhere else to go. They've done everything they exhausted. Show up at church. I'm sorry, sir. We can't give you any money. Really? I'm tithing to the church. Why are you not giving that guy money? Well, you might buy beer. So what? He's sleeping outside. Let him buy a beer. Let him buy a pack of cigarettes. Really? You're going to make a judgment call like that? I'll tell you what. not to be so pushy, but there's a guy who's sick now. His name's Daryl Mansfield. He's one of the best blues harmonica players on the planet. I toured with him as a bass player. This is how his week would go. We'd go on a tour. We'd be in a bus, driving along, do the concert. And he'd take the money he made from the concert for himself, and he would go buy burner phones and carton of cigarettes, and he would make us drive wherever the homeless people were, underneath a bridge or wherever, and he would hand out the burner phones and say, call your parents or your family and tell them you're okay. And but here's a pack of cigarettes just to keep yourself warm. And he would play a concert with his harmonica and talk about God. That had no place to lay his head. He was the real deal.
How long did you have the opportunity to work with him?
I still know him. He's really great. He had a problem with alcohol, so he got really sick. He got what do they call that? Alcohol poisoning, where you get Alzheimer's with it.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know the term.
Wet
I know
brain
you're
or something.
about.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so he got that. He struggled with it back and forth like every human. But as far as I'm concerned, he's a saint. He did that for years, most of his life.
It's very common with people that are struggling or people that hurt themselves. You know, they try to display love and gratitude to do others.
And to say somehow that you're somehow one level above that is bull.
Yeah.
It's bull. It's not true. We're all capable of. We're all on the edge of falling off.
Yeah.
Without God's hand, we're all on the edge. We're all of us are messed up beyond belief, and so someone once said, it's like I'm just like one beggar trying to tell another beggar where to find bread.
Right.
And that's my job.
To the extent that you knew him and worked with him, and you're able to speak about him, what was his background? What was his like?
I don't really know. He never talked about it.
Really?
He was the son of, I think his parents had a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He had some moments in his life, but let me just tell you, those years that he did that changed my life. To see real examples. Another real example is Billy Graham. He lived in a small house. My take, is weird. I think that if you're running a mega church, and instead of paying you $500,000 a year, which you could afford, if you're the pastor of that church, you should look at the median income and live on that median income so that you're not above.
Yeah, live amongst the people.
Living above, yes. And that's how it should work.
Yeah,
now, that's just my take, and it's not necessarily God's.
Well, I agree with that just because, like, so am I, and this is not to negate the amount of work that goes into being a pastor.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah.
And again, when you're but like running a church, it is, of course, an organization. It's a business. You have to keep going. But then, running a mega church is running a mega corporation. So I get it. And I'm not understating the hours that go into it. But at the same time, effectively, you are a public servant and you should live amongst the public. Like, and to kind of extrapolate that, the idea of living the medium income, I've always been been of the mind that that's how politicians should be paid. They should be paid according to the GDP of which they represent.
And also, we need term limits.
Yeah. No, yeah. People. What was her name? Dianne Feinstein voted the day before she died.
Dude, you know what the worst experience for me was when I watched the hearings with Zuckerberg, and I watched these old dudes like me going, and the algorithm, like asking these questions, and they have no idea what they're saying. And Zuckerberg's sitting there going, really, dude? I could say anything to you, like bubblegum popsicle, and and it'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I mean,
it's all facade, and I've always been of that mind where it's like they should if you're going to be a public servant, the aspects of your life should reflect the community you're serving.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's in theory, it probably wouldn't work in practice, but in theory, that's the incentive to make your surroundings better.
Yes.
Because then your life gets better.
Exactly. Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Like it got brought up a lot on recent episodes of Rogan, but they were talking about how like the people, there's like a whole panel of them that work to in homelessness in LA, they get paid upwards of like $250,000, $300,000 a year. It's like, to do what? And and there's no incentive for you to fix the problem because what, your budget gets slashed?
It's absolutely silly beyond belief. My old neighborhood in Compton is near Skid Row. And the last time I was there, there has to be 80, 90,000 people living on that street. It's only a few miles long.
Yeah.
Those poor businesses there.
Yeah.
My God, I had such a saddened heart. I'm like, this is not good for them to do this to people. Just let them live wherever they want to live. It's not healthy for them. It's not about not feeling sad for the homeless. But, if you can spend this kind of money on this, get the veterans and get these homeless people in places where they need to be.
And they
mental
can do
hospitals, whatever.
Look at San Francisco. They cleared up San Francisco for like 10 days when old boy came into town from China.
Yeah, cleaned it all up, boy. It was like spiffy.
And then my whole question was like, okay, where did you put all the homeless people? And then I'm assuming you put them back, so you didn't kill them all. It's like, so you have the ability to house.
Yeah.
We have the budget to, at least for a temporary amount of time, but we choose not to.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Japan for about 6 months during my New York stint. And
what brought you out there?
Beatle band. It's weird. Anyway, so I get paid for it. But I was talking to a guy there, and it was not a lot of people spoke English at that time. They were Japanese. But the ones that did, I conversation said, where are all the homeless people? Because I lived in downtown Tokyo. Cleanest town you've ever... I mean, even in the subways, they have white gloves, and they,
And what year was this?
This was it was in late 80s.
Okay.
Right in there somewhere. Anyway, I'm really bad with chronologic stuff. Anyway, because I've done so much stuff. But so I asked him, I said, what's going on with the homeless people? He goes, well, we built a city at the top of Japan. And if we find a homeless guy, we send him up there and we either retrain him or he has to live there the rest of his life. Huh. He can't just live on the street. But we're offering him all this stuff. Place to live, relearn a trade, get back into society, or live there. So there's no homeless people.
And what are the conditions like in this?
I don't know. I asked him because it's nice. It's like the rest of Japan. It's not like it's a prison or something.
Yeah, because some would argue if you do that, they have no incentive to leave.
Yeah, okay. Then there they are.
Right. Right. But
better there than
right, exactly.
Than wrecking the business by living in front of it.
Right. I agree. No, I agree. I'm not big on...
I mean, we've got a lot of land. We could, buy part of Nevada and just build a city there or something. I don't know. Probably wouldn't work. All the social groups would crush me and judge me and, murder me or something.
So you open up the studio here.
Yeah.
Touched a little bit on, you just by happenstance, you and your wife drove by, found it. You walk in, not in the best condition to say the least. You and your business partner, remind me of his name again?
Drew Newman, yeah.
So you and Drew show up, and you're like, all right, what was the, let's call it order of business. What was like the first things you had to get taken care of first to get this place up and running?
We had to buy the place, and we got it for dirt clods, for, pennies on the dollar, and then it took 7 months to, and like 5 or 6 of those big giant rollaways to clean up the place. So, and then, Drew invested. Drew's a real estate guy. He invested in the fencing and all the beauties, and also came up with the great ideas of, I want a place where no matter who shoots a picture, it's always a good picture. You know what I mean? So it's an Instagram building. Like if you go outside or whatever, no matter what picture you take, if the picture didn't look good, then he made that place look good in a photo. So it's like all based on he's younger. He's much younger.
How did you guys meet?
I produced this band and called Ives it's 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago. He was just a kid then. Now he's a big real estate mogul dude, but he's been just the best, working with me on this and his ideas and just making everything go here. He's just, he's without him, I wouldn't have been able to do half what I've done. So.
How did the conversation start to get you guys into business together and eventually doing this?
Well, I always spoke of a place. Have you ever seen the documentary Muscle Shoals?
No.
You got to watch it. It's about the original Muscle Shoals studio where all those giant records came out of. And in that documentary, they talked about music coming out of the mud, the dirt. And I thought, it got me thinking, like, LA has a sound. New York has a sound. New Orleans has a sound. Chicago has a sound. Austin has a sound. Why doesn't Albuquerque? What's coming out of the ground here? So I realized it was rock. Rock music comes out of the ground. That's what comes out of the ground here. You go down to Central any given night, what do you find? Rock bands.
Yep.
When Korn comes to town, it's sold out.
When
Bob Dylan comes, it's half full. Neil Young comes, half full.
Yeah.
When Korn comes, sold out 2 nights in a row, 15 minutes.
I've accidentally seen Korn here like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Because they're always coming through attached to another band or like co-headline. Like I saw one of my favorite concerts I've ever seen at Asleta was Rob Zombie and Korn. It was called the Return of the Dreads Tour.
This is a few years ago. I was backstage. I'm friends with the guys in Korn, so.
No shit.
Yeah.
They seem like the nicest guys.
They're super sweet.
And the lead singer's like a devout Christian, right?
Yeah. Well, no, the guitar player.
Guitar player, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, seemed like nice guys. And the heavy metal community here is vibrant.
Well, I'm just saying, and where are you going to look to see what's coming out of the ground here is you look at the indigenous people. They love rock. Mm-hmm. They love metal. It's inherent. When I play in this room, my default is to always go harder, not softer. And that could just be me, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that the energy that comes out of the ground here is hard and it's loud.
Well, you find that in a lot of communities that, are a little rougher. They have harder times to go through. They're
angry.
People just get put through more shit here in Albuquerque.
Metal and rock is built on angst. It's an emotion that when I do rock, I make sure I do rock. I don't go, kind of do rock. There's no kind of doing rock. You either do rock or you don't. Yeah.
So you guys, you buy the building, you come in, you're putting it together. Who designed the place? How did that come about?
That was all Drew. I came up with the idea of making this the control room and this here, that, and then this here, that, and his brother is a graphic designer, so he came up with the logo.
Nice. And
the Rio Grande logo and all that the brand, and then Drew just went through and goes, this is all one-off furniture. All these are custom built, and he found them and formed them, and he got the guy that did the bookcases.
He made them.
What's that?
He made the bookcases?
No, he said he found them.
Oh, found them. Okay.
Yeah, and then it was a lot of it was just his vision of what it should look like.
Yeah, it's very welcoming. This is like whenever I had, because I've seen pictures here and there, but whatever I imagined it being, this is just better. Like, this is it. I was like, this is where business happens. Like, because I'm not a big aura spiritual. Yeah,
no, I'm not either. I'm not a hippie either that way.
You know what I mean? But you
can feel an energy here.
There's energy. People give off energy. Yeah. There are aspects of people that get left in rooms they spend a lot of time in. Yeah. That's just a thing. Yeah. You can tell when you walk in here that this is where business gets taken care of. There's been a lot of amazing creations.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this space.
There has.
So when do doors officially open? What was the date that you guys
about 8 years? I don't even know the date.
Okay.
But it was about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah. And it was a slow start because I wanted to make sure it was right. And I didn't want to give people a product. So I was bringing national acts in. And about Bones Owens, who is Yellow Wolf's guitar player. Really, he's got his own act now, and he's an amazing guy, and also a really good friend. Become a really good friend. But he came and did his record here, and that's how it kind of got started. And then I started to just get used to the room and know how things sound and know what I could push and couldn't push. And after about a year, then it became a real studio.
And what is we brought him a couple of times. So the Slums of Harvard walk in here, the Mayo Cakes walk in here, Red Light Cameras. What does the recording process look like for a song?
Get drum sounds And I'll set the whole band up and have them play live, but play in here. So the singer, the guitar player, and bass player are in here. Drummers out there. They all play together.
Interesting.
But the instruments are in separate rooms, but they're listening back to these speakers.
I was going to say, what's the methodology behind that?
I want to make it feel like the band's playing together.
Yeah.
Because there's something about that's magic.
Well, in the separate rooms aspect of it, this is how like the layout of the building.
Control EQ. Like the bass is direct, and then that room back over in the corner over there where you saw the amps, that's where the guitar amp is, and I mic that and feed it back into here. Then I give her or him a vocal mic, and they just sit in here. They can hear back from the speakers. I give it reverb, and they can hear like they're playing live. And then I just track it and then add stuff to it if it needs. Wow, that's what it's like. So I have control over everything, but they still feel as if they're jamming with the band. They're not like, okay, we're gonna separate it and make it all. No, don't do any of that.
Holy shit!
Try to utilize the digital part so that we're capable of doing all those things and making the band more comfortable, using them as tools as opposed to hindrances, which is what technology can do. It can stop the creative process if you don't understand that the tools are just there to spawn the creative process, not wreck it.
Right.
Which is what people do.
Well, again, like all of this is where you're operating now because this is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like imagine you had that 40 years ago. What would you even do?
If someone told me this could happen 40 years ago, I'd say, get the fuck out of here. You're crazy, man. That's never going to happen. Never, ever in the, I mean, of course, look, smartphones. I mean, like, someone told me, I'd be like, Dick Tracy, you mean? Because Dick Tracy had a watch on his phone, right?
Right.
I mean,
he had a phone on his watch, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, that's what people have now. What? So, I mean, I can imagine. I used to think back, my great-grandmother lived to be 106 or something. And she lived on a ranch out in Bisbee, Arizona. And I'm connected to the Kennedys, but the Kennedys started Tucson. Anyway, she lived to be 106, but she came across the country in a stagecoach and then saw a man land on the moon. Imagine that. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah.
Crazy.
Right? In your lifetime to think that happened.
Holy shit.
For her.
So you said, okay, that's, yeah, my mind is, I love like hearing statements like that because of just how quickly we've evolved as a society.
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, now in computers, there's a certain, I forget, it's something law, somebody's name law where technology doubles every 18 months.
Right.
I forget it's some,
And we're seeing that with AI.
Yeah.
There's the advancements that are going faster than anyone ever could have imagined.
Yeah.
So you said you're connected to the Kennedys. Real briefly, what are your thoughts on RFK running as an independent?
I love that guy, man.
Yeah.
But, he's never going to happen.
No.
No. I mean, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to take my thoughts any further than that. But
you're good.
I know. I just know it's volatile. No matter who gets in, there's going to be a war.
Yeah.
And don't come here. Because I'm a Second Amendment guy. So it's a bad idea.
No, I'm sorry. I agree with everything you just said. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. I wish we lived in a world where RFK had a legit, you know what I mean, shot.
Like a legit. Like I've listened to him, and he reminds me of his pop.
Yeah,
he's a guy that cares.
Yeah,
who wants crap to happen right.
Yeah,
he wants to make sure that everybody's taken care of and that the documents are not getting messed with.
Yep.
I mean, everything that a conservative Democrat would hold true to. The problem is there's not a lot of conservative Democrats anymore. And also the conservative Republicans are also not conservative.
Well, they're also aligning themselves to the extremes of what their party has to offer.
Yeah,
and it's helping
that's
nobody.
Of the news. The news is forcing that every day by dividing it between. I have to watch 3 news channels to get the whole news.
Yep,
that's sad. But when I was a kid, it would be like, today RFK went to the bathroom. In today's society, it's that jackass RFK smelled up my bathroom like the putz he is. You know what I mean?
It's all clickbait. It's all how can I get your attention through?
It's like I don't care about your opinion. Just give me the news. I want the news so I can evaluate for myself what is actually happening.
Right.
And so that's the reason I get so frustrated. I'll sit and yell at the TV, and it's bad for my heart. So I just turn it off. I can't watch this.
Well, it's like you should be giving me the facts, and then I will decide how much I care.
Yeah.
How much does it apply to my life?
Exactly.
How much thought and mental energy do I need to give to this issue you have now brought to me?
I can't. Here's the thing. In my world that I live in, this world that I live in here, I've never seen racism in this world. I've never seen, in fact, 20 years ago, in the same industry, in different places, spending the same amount of time with the same amount of people, didn't know anyone's political or religious background.
Never
came up. You know why? Because we were creating music. Nobody cares. Just shut up and just play music, man.
That's a very fortunate run of events where it seems like for the, more often than not, you're existing in a meritocracy.
Yeah.
It's very fortunate.
Yeah, well, people have turned politics into a religion.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And that's more dangerous than anything I could think of.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't understand. It's politics. Nobody cares. In fact, the government's going to shut down. Shit, you know what? The government could shut down for 6 months and nobody even know. They just go, oh, there's a picture of Washington. There they are. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Yeah.
Nobody would even care. Just send the checks out to the old people and take care of the homeless people and hey, just leave me alone, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, what I always think about is the final address from Washington, where he said, "Do not do these two things, and we are doing exactly them. do not overexpand your reach as a country, and do not align yourself with political parties."
Yeah.
And what are we doing?
Both.
We're doing both. Anyway,
you may or may not be a Reagan fan, but the biggest quote he ever said was, "The most dangerous word you could ever hear is, 'Hey, I'm from the government. I'm here to help.'"
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of it. I just want to make music, and
the passion shows, and that's one of the things I really want to touch on before we close out here in a little bit. Because again, I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
Touched on a little bit earlier in the beginning. The ethos behind what you're doing here. It reminds me a lot of Sarah Kennedy and Dry Heat, which is why I have a lot of respect for the both of you. You guys are here for the local scene.
Always.
And you're helping nurture it. Point being, example, Dry Heat. They have obviously the comedy club, and they're expanding to a bigger one or bigger space, which is cool. But what they do is they've got obviously the club where they put on their big shows. But then they also have Elvado, which is a space where they
I love that place.
Yeah, where they put on free comedy shows.
Yeah.
Where I'll be at on the 28th.
Nice.
Selfless plug and shameless plug.
What's the date again?
The March 28th.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure everyone hears that.
Yeah. But so they have that place where they can put on these smaller headlining shows, right? It's a free show.
Yeah.
So people don't have to pay to get in, and then the comics get stage time, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they have an open mic. They have 2 open mics that they do, and then they have a writing class. So there's levels, there's steps to this. In that same vein, what I like what you're doing here is, you get in, like you mentioned, these nationally touring bigger musicians, and that's what keeps the lights on. But then you're able to scale down pricing. It ain't cheap, but you're scaling down pricing because, again, you're listen to any of the songs that the local artists have put out from this studio, and you'll see what you're getting. It's fucking phenomenal.
Thank you.
It is fucking fun. I like it. From fucking Slums is the one that comes on immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's so damn good. The artist
The new
who
Red
were
Lights
playing,
is good.
Say it again?
The new Red Lights singles.
Yep, the new Red Lights music has been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The gentleman you played for me when I was setting up.
Oh, you're talking about Levi Platero.
Yes, Levi Platero. That was phenomenal. I'm gonna get that before I get out of here. That was amazing.
You gotta get him on your podcast too. He's a smart cookie.
I would love to. Incredibly talented, amazing song came out of here. So, is it Is it cheap? No. Is it these multi-thousand, tens of $1,000s that are getting charged at these other places? Also no. So what I like about that is you're making the quality that seems like, oh, you have to go to Austin, you have to go to Nashville, you have to LA, New York. Yeah. You don't have to go there if you're a local New Mexico musician, and you're bringing it to them right here.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, over this conversation, one of the common denominators has been service to others and really like helping those around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's the idea that, you know, people have you at a bare minimum, you have an influence of 3 people around you. That's you directly influenced positively or negatively. But being able to do this and bringing this level of quality to New Mexico, like I've been saying since I started the podcast, like for at least the last 2 years. Post-COVID, we're going through this like renaissance of music.
Yeah.
Specifically music. Entertainment's booming here, but like specifically music.
It's everywhere.
There are so many artists happening or coming up in Albuquerque right now.
Yeah.
But there's also some really amazing ones, and most of them are really good.
Oh, yeah. All the bands that I've recorded here are world-class. They just don't know it yet. It's interesting. Like I said, every town has had its moment. Seattle, LA, New York, Houston, Austin. It's time for Albuquerque to have that. We're unpicked. We have this massive fruit tree with just all this big ripe fruit hanging off of it and waiting for them. Hey, we need to pay attention to Albuquerque and start picking. Because there is a sound that's coming out here. It's kind of interesting. It's like if you listen to Slums and Red Light Cameras and Savings and all these other bands that are in town, they have a New Mexico sound. It isn't like anywhere else. It has some Blink 182 type qualities of that period of time, but it also has some funk and it also has some Spanish influence, and it really is its own entity. And that sound is, I'm trying to cultivate that, and that will make us like a jam. People go, wow, my goal is to have a band go hand their music to someone and then them say, oh, you have that Albuquerque sound. Wouldn't that be cool to say we have a sound? I mean, I know we have rancheras here and all that, but rancheras are kind of a Texas thing, and New Mexico just put out a tune guitars on it, called it theirs. It really is not
right
New Mexico, although there's a lot of wonderful New Mexico artists that have been around that do rancheras, and they do it well. It's not really what comes out of the ground here. It just isn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And the days of New Mexico being a flyover state are coming to a close very soon.
Gas stop. Well, you know, with places like Revel. Have you been to Revel?
Oh, yeah, I love Revel.
Yeah, and you know, what they did, he's smart. He created a backstage area where the buses come in. There's basketball courts, there's laundry, there's showers, you know, in the dressing rooms, and he just he did it up. So like the thing is down in Central, if you play the El Rey or the Sunshine or Kiva, there's no places for the buses and to back in their trucks and load their equipment. He's got rollaways, goes right on the stage. I mean, he designed that club, and also because we're a gas stop, because there's bands that come through that are good, but they're too big for the El Rey or the Kiva and too small for Isleta. So his 3,000 seat hall is perfect, and that's why we're starting to see a lot of really great bands come through.
It was a void that needed to get filled.
And Danny did it, and Danny's been around a long time. He's a local. He runs one of the biggest staging companies in the Southwest. That's how he started this whole thing. He started at the beginning of COVID, so he almost chewed it. But man, he's hung in there, and I'm so proud of his ability to say, I'm going to do this and finish it. And he's finished it. And now we're getting blessed by all these great. I mean, I saw Cheap Trick there. Come on. Who doesn't want to see Cheap Trick? Cheap Trick was amazing.
Well, it's a great venue, and it's so versatile. I mean, they do everything from obviously.
Well, they could put the curtain up and be 1,000 people, 2,000 people, or just fully 3,000 people. He's putting in like box seats in the top, and it's just super classy, man.
What I love about the big venue inside. First of all, the piano bar is sick.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Great place for comedy. I know they kind of revamped it. I haven't seen it yet. What it looks like.
It's nice. It's a rock club now.
But I believe they're doing the roast battles on Friday night, so I'll be there for that.
Awesome.
But what I like about that bigger venue is that whether you're getting drinks or whether you're getting merch, you're still seeing the show.
Exactly, you're right there.
You're not leaving to go elsewhere to, I have to miss this band to get.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, you can just turn around and look.
Exactly.
It's a phenomenal place.
It is awesome. Plus that mural. I don't know if you've seen that mural.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What's happening here in New Mexico it's inspiring, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And I feel very fortunate because I feel like I stuck my foot in the door right before like the old era was closing.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting to talk to people like yourself and other.
There's a new gen here, and we're fighting for our space as artists, and I just think it's fantastic to be part of it, to see it come together. Is for me, it's like I don't like being the guy. I like being the guy behind the guy. So you know what I mean? The guy that's saying, "Hey, check this guy out."
Yeah.
You know. So it's the perfect job for me, and to see these artists come in and be able to just bask.
Well, and there's a culture change happening too, because a very New Mexico thing is like, you can be successful, but not more successful than me. And now what I'm seeing is it's slowly starting to change into the
synergy. There's a coming together,
it's a feast, not a famine. There's enough for everybody. There's enough venues. Not enough. Well, there will be enough venues, but there's enough fans. There's enough money. There's enough time. Like it's just New Mexico's catching up.
Yeah,
it's slowly catching up.
See,
And
here's the thing: people ask me, well, do you want it to be Phoenix? I said, no, I don't want it to be bigger. We'll never really be bigger because we're landlocked.
Yeah.
I just want it to be better.
Yeah.
Not bigger, but better. There's a difference between those two things.
Agreed.
Like Nashville. Oh my gosh, dude. There's like 15 cranes there all the time. I think it's Crane City. They're building high rises. I mean, it looks like New York.
Yeah.
It's a crazy mess there. I'm not putting it down or anything. It's just not my thing, but more power to you. But I don't want Albuquerque to be that. I want it to be better. I want it to be updated and new and fresh. I don't want it to be bigger.
And we're getting there.
Bad.
We're getting there. You know what I mean? Where the evolution is happening slowly but surely. And a place like this, this place is, like I said earlier, it's a cornerstone. Like this is what's helping like so many. I
set out. That was the goal to set out, and I think we're achieving it now. And I'm stoked about it. Super stoked. And anybody out there, come talk to me before you listen to anyone else about pricing or anything, because I can try to figure things out sometimes to make things easier and better for the artists coming in.
And how can people get in contact with you if they want to?
Instagram for sure.
Okay.
Instagram is probably the quickest way. I have a website. My phone number's on the website, riograndestudios.com. And Instagram is at Rio Grande Studios. Couldn't get any easier than that. So yeah, just do that, and we can talk, at least have a conversation. And who knows, I don't necessarily need to record you. Maybe you just want to come see the place and you want to feel the vibe and you want to have a conversation. Maybe I can help you with your career or something moving forward or whatever. I'm here for that. If I have the time, I will spend the time with you, talking to you, even if it's on the phone.
And that is exactly why you are as successful as you are. And this is why people sing your praises the way they do, man. You're a genuine person. I've said this multiple times and I mean it. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with me.
Absolutely. It's been
hosting me here. This has been absolutely.
I got to tell all my old man jokes. Are you kidding me? I don't even think I have any left. Anyway,
this has been a real treat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I would love to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Check this shit out on YouTube. This is without a doubt the best, one of my favorite conversations I've ever had, and without a doubt my favorite backdrop. So thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you next time. Bye,
Checks
everybody.
in the mail.
That was awesome.